What does NASCAR's reigning champion do the day before a high-stakes race at one of the most unpredictable tracks on the circuit? Most people would assume he's reviewing data, resting, or running through race strategy with his crew. Kyle Larson did none of that. Instead, on Friday, April 25, 2026, less than 24 hours before the Jack Link's 500 at Talladega Superspeedway, Larson was standing in the pits at zMAX Dragway in Charlotte, North Carolina, breathing in nitro fumes and grinning like a kid who had just discovered racing for the first time. That tells you everything you need to know about who Kyle Larson really is. The NHRA 4-wide nationals at zMAX Dragway is one of the most unique events in all of motor. 4 cars launch simultaneously down 4 side-by-side lanes, producing a wall of sound and a shockwave of heat that no television broadcast can accurately reproduce. And on this particular Friday, one of the most decorated active drivers in NASCAR Cup Series history was wandering through the pits. Not in a fire suit, not behind a velvet rope, not surrounded by a PR team, but in shorts, with his family in tow, moving through the space the way a genuine... He wasn't there as a celebrity guest. He was like a lot of race fans show up, in shorts, family in tow, wandering through pit spaces and taking it all in. Larson spent time around the John Force Racing, visiting with HendrickCars.com teammates Josh Hart and Jack Beckman. If you didn't know who he was, he looked more like a fan killing time than one of America's most accomplished racers. And he wasn't alone in the high-profile sense. Rick Hendrick, the owner of Hendrick Motorsports, the man behind one of the most successful organizations in NASCAR history, was also present. Jack Beckman, the veteran funny car driver, captured the moment on social media, calling Hendrick a car guy, and noting how special it was to have him there wearing his colors. When the owner of your NASCAR team shows up at an NHRA event just because he loves racing, it says something about the culture that surrounds Kyle Larson and everything connected to him. This visit wasn't a random deal. Larson's relationship with drag racing is rooted in something real, specifically a friendship with J.R. Todd that dates back to 2011. Todd is a top fuel driver and a respected name in the NHRA paddock, and his friendship with Larson has served as a direct pipeline between two different racing worlds. As Larson explained it himself, "I've known J.R. Todd since like 2011, so I've been around it quite a bit, and when you have a friend in it, you pay more attention to it, and you're even a bigger fan." That friendship didn't just deepen Larson's appreciation for the sport, it gave him physical access to it. He has previously sat inside Todd's top fuel dragster while the engine was running. Not as a stunt, not for a promotional video, just because he wanted to feel it, and what he felt stuck with him. I've actually sat, and I'm good buddies of J.R. Todd's. I've been in his car before while they fired it. It's unreal. So just the smell, the noise, all of it, it's so cool. That is usually where television fails drag race. TV can show flames, smoke, and scoreboard. It cannot show your chest vibrating from header cackle or your eyes watering from nitro in the air. Larson's connection to drag racing also has geographic roots. He grew up in California, and the Sonoma Raceway NHRA race was a regular part of his calendar long before he became a household name in stock car racing. Growing up in California, I would go to Sonoma Raceway about every year for a qualifying day and some of the race days, Larson said. That kind of early exposure matters. Motorsport fans are often made young, shaped by the sounds and smells of tracks they visited as children. Larson was no different. The nitro got into his system early, and it never left. There's also a community element to this that outsiders often miss. The world of dirt racing and the world of drag racing overlap more than people realize. Sprint car drivers and funny car crews tend to know each other. Many NHRA teams are based in Indiana, which is deep sprint car country. Larson acknowledged this crossover directly. But yeah, growing up in California, I would go to Sonoma Raceway about every year for a qualifying day and some of the race days. And two, I feel like a lot of these teams are based in Indiana, so a lot of them are dirt racing fans, and that's what I did for, or do still. He summarized it cleanly, but yeah, it's a small community. It's still racing community, but it's a small community. The highlight of Friday's visit came at the John Force Racing pit area. Larson spent real time there, not just a handshake and a photo, but actual time inside the tent talking to Beckman and Hart, absorbing the environment. And then came the moment that Jack Beckman posted about on social media, one that spread quickly through the motorsport community. Larson and his son both climbed into Beckman's peak Chevy funny car. Both of them. Apparently, there's more room in a funny car than you'd expect. But Larson had a specific hope for the visit that went beyond just sitting in a stationary. There was one thing he hoped might happen before he left. If somebody wanted to fire one up and let him sit in it, he was ready. I would like to sit in it while they're running it, but that's about the extent that I want to go, Larson said. I don't ever want to go down the track. That's a carefully drawn line. He wanted the sensation, the sound, the vibration, the raw mechanical fury of a nitro engine at idle, but had no interest in actually making a pass. And when you understand the numbers involved, that position makes complete sense. Larson knows what 900 horsepower feels. He races cars with that kind of power regularly. But a top fuel dragster or funny car produces somewhere in the range of 11,000 horsepower. When asked to imagine what that might feel like, he was honest about it. No, I couldn't because I know what 900 feels like, and that's a beast. So gosh, so much more than that would be incredible. Then came the most honest line of the day. There's only, however, many lucky amount of people that have experienced that in their life. But I guess it's not one that I really want to experience just because I would be scared. John Force Racing posted about the exchange on social media with the line, Kyle Larson says he would love to go 340 miles per hour. And zMAX Dragway followed up with a slightly more measured version of the dream. Maybe just a burnout one day. That word, scared, is worth sitting with for a moment because it is not what you typically hear from a driver of Larson's caliber. This is a man who has raced sprint cars, midgets, stock cars, and everything in between. He competed in the Indianapolis 500 alongside his Coca-Cola 600 commitment. He races multiple series in a single weekend by choice. He is not someone who backs away from difficult machinery. And yet, when confronted with the reality of 11,000 horsepower and 340 miles per hour down a quarter mile, he said he would be scared. That answer would earn nods in any nitro pit. Fear is not weakness in top fuel or funny car. Fear usually means you understand the consequences. In the NHRA, the margin between a perfect run and a catastrophic one is measured in fractions of a second. Drivers and crew members in that sport carry an acute awareness of what can go wrong. When Larson says the experience would scare him, he's not admitting weakness. He's demonstrating comprehension. He understands exactly what those cars are capable of, which is precisely why he respects them enough to stay in the spectator role. This connects to something he said about the experience of bringing new fans to drag racing. You have to come to one of these to actually know what it's like. And usually when you bring somebody, they keep returning. His point is simple. The gate is the best recruiting tool drag racing has. Once someone feels a nitro car launch in person, no broadcast can replace that. Larson has been that person multiple times, and he keeps returning. Friday was just the latest chapter. Step back from the pit lane atmosphere for a moment, and the context of Larson's Friday visit becomes even more striking. He was relaxing at a drag strip the afternoon before a race weekend where the pressure on him was very real. Larson carried a 34-race winless streak into Talladega. His last Cup Series victory came at Kansas Speedway in May 2025, more than a year prior. For a driver who won the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series championship, that kind of drought is not what anyone expected heading into 2026. The new championship format introduced for 2026 has added a specific layer of complexity to Larson's situation. In the previous system, winning races was the golden ticket. A single victory locked a driver into the playoff picture. The new format requires drivers to accumulate points across the first 26 races to be among the top 16 in standing, before a 10-race postseason determines the champion. For a driver whose natural style is high risk and high reward, that structure creates real exposure on the days things go wrong. As The Athletic's Jeff Gluck put it on the Teardown podcast, there was a big storyline coming into this year of, will Larson have to race any differently with this point system? And he kept saying, no. And there's a lot of evidence for that, right? Because last season, he would have won the championship overall. But 2026 has produced two significant mistakes. At Atlanta, Larson misjudged a block while running third as Stage 2 was concluding, made contact with Shane Van Gisbergen, and hit the outside wall, finishing 32nd and losing both the position and the stage points that went with it. At Darlington, running alone with 10 laps to go, he hit the wall without contact, another 32nd place finish. In a format where consistency matters enormously, those results hurt. Gluck's colleague Jordan Bianchi spoke with crew chief Cliff Daniels about the situation. Daniels framed it as, I'll just say, Cliff is like, this is the adversity you're going to learn from, and these are the moments we're going to be tested. Because we're still We may not be hitting on all cylinders right now, but we're still a top 10 team. Larson entered Talladega sitting 6th in the points standings, trailing championship leader Tyler Reddick by a significant margin. Reddick, driving the number 452311 Racing Toyota, had already won 5 of the first 9 races of the season, placing him in rare historical company. He became the first driver since Dale Earnhardt Sr. in 1987 to win 5 of the first 9 Cup Series races in a season. The Kansas race, just 1 week before Talladega, had felt like the breakthrough moment Larson needed. He made a bold 3-wide move on the final restart and cleared the field, leading with clean air and 2 laps to go. Then Reddick ran him down on the inside through turn 3 on the final lap and drove away. When all worked out like that, I was like, oh, great clean air, Larson said. I plowed tight through 3 and 4. I could tell he had a run on me and thought maybe if I could get to the banking it would load and cut. He was really good right there. The streak extended to 34 races. Talladega was next. Talladega Superspeedway is one of those tracks where the past week of results can be rendered irrelevant inside of 2 laps. Pack drafting races operate by a different logic than conventional oval racing. Momentum, positioning, and timing matter as much as raw speed, and events can shift violently and without warning. Saturday morning brought heavy rain to the Talladega area, and NASCAR officially canceled Cup Series qualifying at approximately 8:15 a.m. Central Time. With no qualifying session, the starting lineup was determined by the rule book method, a weighted formula using each car's position in the owner's standings, 30%, and its finish in the most recent race, 70%. The result, Tyler Reddick captured the pole, his 5th of the 2026 season, with Kyle Larson alongside him on the front row. Denny Hamlin qualified 3rd, Bubba Wallace 4th, and Chase Briscoe 5th. Hendrick Motorsports placed 3 cars in the top 10, with William Byron 7th and Chase Elliott 8th. One notable story from the weekend's list: Casey Mears and the number 62 Beard Motorsports Chevrolet did not qualify. The second time this season the team had failed to make the field. Mears has been working toward 500 career Cup starts, and this setback put a dent in that timeline. At the other end of the grid, Daniel Dye prepared to make his Cup Series debut, starting 40th in the number 78 Live Fast Motorsports Chevrolet. Race day, weather cleared significantly. After the rain-soaked Saturday, Sunday offered patchy fog, giving way to sunny skies and temperatures in the low 80s. Ideal conditions for a 500-mile plate race. Among the expert picks previewing the race, one analyst chose Larson directly, arguing that after a winless stretch of over a year, the Talladega plate race format represented the type of event where a single move at the right moment could end a drought. Reddick, a former Talladega winner who had already won both plate races in 2026 at Daytona and Atlanta, was the obvious favorite. What Friday at zMAX Dragway revealed, more than anything else, is the kind of racing person Kyle Larson actually is when the spotlight is off and the schedule isn't forcing his hand. He still races sprint cars throughout the year. He competes in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, sometimes in the same weekend as a Cup race. He co-owns High Limit Racing, the sprint car series he helped build with Brad Sweet. He races because he genuinely cannot stop, and he shows up at NHRA events in shorts with his kids because that's how he recharges. Not by stepping away from racing, but by surrounding himself with more of it. Honestly, I do get to do that quite a bit throughout the year. I mean, with my kids racing, and I go to sprint car races still some throughout the year, but it is nice, especially here in Charlotte, close to home. That afternoon at zMAX also carried personal meaning, because he brought people who had never experienced the NHRA in person. Get to bring friends and family out here and have them experience it for their first time is something I always enjoy bringing new people to because you don't fully get the experience when you're watching on TV, he said. This is the same philosophy that drives his multi-series career. Corey Day, the Hendrick Motorsports development driver who competes in the O'Reilly Series full-time and is described as following in Larson's footsteps as a fellow Californian and sprint car veteran, had just won his first career O'Reilly Series race at Talladega, the day before the Cup race week. Larson was there for that too, celebrating in victory lane alongside Day and spotter Tyler Moore. The motorsport world Larson inhabits is dense with these kinds of connections. NHRA friendships, sprint car routes, development drivers he mentors, team owners he respects. Kyle Larson doesn't compartmentalize racing into the box labeled work. For him, the whole thing Every series, every discipline, every pit lane he walks through is part of the same universe. And that's why, the day before one of the most chaotic and unpredictable races on the NASCAR schedule, he was standing at zMAX Dragway in shorts, squeezing into a funny car with his kid, asking if someone would fire the engine up so he could feel it one more time. You have to come to one of these to actually know what it's like, he said. And usually, when you bring somebody, they keep returning. So, yeah, I look forward to getting out there and seeing it and having my friends experience. He keeps returning. Every time. That's not a media story. That's just who he is.